I feel a little uncomfortable here because I feel like I'm in friends and good company. I'm used to having people yell at me, you're out of order, sit down, shut up, or whatever. So thank you. I think if you're like me, you probably don't have a life, and that's why you're here, because I wondered how the hell did I get here, because I don't have a life. I don't have a life in the sense of, like most Americans. I do have a life, and so do you, and we're all important. And we're all different, and we're all special because we're paying attention, and we're here, and we're awake human beings, and we know what's wrong with the world, and we want to make it better. So I'll get on without further ado. I'm going to I'll tell you about myself just real quickly so you know who I am. It's not about me, it's about the big us. So as long as you keep that in mind, that's good. Like mentioned earlier, by the way, I wanted to thank the ISO too for inviting me here. That was really special, and that somebody wanted to know about the Boeing strike. Darren's been real religious about coming up and visiting us, and in fact, if there's ever a strike, I know the ISO is going to be there. Darren and I don't agree on politics. I do have left-wing views, but I also have right-wing views. And I love Darren and I love the ISO, my friends here, because they are open-minded and we can have dialogue and discussion. I'm a 31-year crane operator, union activist. I started out by organizing my crew in 1985. I was one of the few members sworn in 1977, but the point of all this is to have a long history of labor activism and participation in my union. I've been an insider and an outsider. I've been a reformer and a conformer. I've been all over the place, and it's because somebody saw potential in me that I got a start in union politics to begin with. Unfortunately, I paid attention and saw what was going on, dialogue, debate, or discussion, and of course we can't have that. And so I became an outsider at that point. I've ran numerous campaigns, and a word of advice for people that want to run in elections. It can be a distraction. The thing I cherish in life right now is the same thing that you all share, the majority of you. You have no title, you have no position, you're a citizen and an American and possibly a member in a union. And that's the best place to be because you have freedom of speech, freedom of choice, freedom of expression. And when we get these titles and strings attached to us, we lose our influence and credibility. We have tremendous influence in the world when we stand up for what we believe in. 57 days on the line. I'm here representing myself, speaking my own views, but there's thousands of machinists that share my views. We just took on the toughest corporation in the world, largest. It's one that we're familiar with. I've worked there a long time. I've been through 5 strikes at Boeing. This strike was special because our workforce matured. It was special because we're handing our union off now. We have senior employees and we're handing it off to a junior workforce, and we wanted to do it right. We're at a critical juncture in our union, and we wanted that heritage to be passed on. It took us a long time to get up where we were. Maybe some of you heard about the rallies and marches that we had on site. How many, just a show of hands, how many people have heard about the rallies and marches? So it's like 75% or better. And believe me, those are really special. Just a piece of history that you won't find in the press. Those started in 1995. Why that's significant is because that's the year it started. That's the year that the members got to ask questions and debate their contract. For so many years, we were all funneled into the Kingdome or Key Arena, and you were given 2 hours to go over the contract, ask questions if you could even get to a microphone, and vote yes or no on this thing. Well, 2 years down the road, you found out what was really wrong with it, and it was pretty unacceptable. So, a rank and file movement started actually before that. So we worked in concert with the people in Wichita, my good friend Keith Thomas, and we passed petitions and lobbied the union and the company. The union finally agreed, and the union, or the company, thought, oh geez, maybe this is a good idea, we can twist their arm for 3 days, and so they went along with it. Well, in 1995 was the first time ever that the machinists got their contract 3 days early, and we walked off the job and had the first march of many that we've had every contract since then. I've gone over my time already,
No,
and
you've got 10 minutes left.
or you used up a good portion of it already. I'll try to move on here. Boeing's got $13 billion in profit that we made for them. We have $350 billion in backlog orders. We have $3.2 trillion of work sitting out there over the next 20 years globally. We can have a good portion of that if we go after it. Washington State, you and the people in this room gave Boeing $7 billion in infrastructure improvements, tax breaks, piers, and things of that nature. And in 2003, when that bill was passed, the teachers of Washington State didn't get their smaller classroom sizes, and they didn't get their COLA. The other workers in Washington State were sold down the river on L&I and unemployment insurance benefits. And I really brought that home. I was in Home Depot one day, and this construction worker just unloaded on me, right? Because he couldn't make his house payment because he was unemployed, and he used to until Boeing got these new rules passed. And that really drove it home of what maybe our union took part in. Our reward, Boeing rewarded the membership in 2001. Boeing, one of the world's largest military contractors who's made billions off of the war by killing people and building bombs, and you know the story and the drill. This company, for their reward for the attack on 9/11, laid off tens of thousands of people almost immediately. That's their patriotism, and their patriotism is showed to the workers when they force us out on strike and won't negotiate in good faith. And I kind of have a chip on my shoulder about that. I think they should do better, and I know they can do better. We had a contract forced on us in 2002. We struck in 2005 for 28 days. And we had a back-to-back strike this year for 57 days. That's pretty remarkable. It shows that there's a lot of pent-up frustration and carryover, bad feelings all these years, and what a great place it could be to work. Part of the reason we went on strike this year was for the new hires and the new members who started out at $10 or less an hour. And they're stuck in a wage progression scheme at 50 cents every 6 months for 6 years till they reach max rate. And at the very end, they get $5, $6, $8 pay increase at the very end. They're not doctors or lawyers. They're machinists, and they're doing the same work for less money than everybody else, and that's just dead wrong, non-acceptable. Unfortunately, we didn't get that fixed in our contract. Boeing used 7 strategies against us. I'm going to just go over them really fast. They use the media against the union. They negotiate takeaways in our contract, and when we get back to zero, the union